Britain runs on bridges. There are more than 70,000 of them on our local roads alone, and that's before you even count the great estuary crossings, the motorway flyovers, and the Victorian railway viaducts that still carry trains every single day. We drive over most of them without a second thought. We trust them completely, without ever really thinking about what they are or how old they might be. But here's the thing, almost nobody talks about. A surprising number of them are quietly struggling. This channel is about those bridges, the famous ones, the terrifying ones, the forgotten ones, and the ones that are slowly falling behind. So before we go anywhere else, let's start with a simple question. What kind of state are Britain's bridges actually in? If that's the sort of thing you'd watch, hit subscribe, because there's a new one every week. Let's start with the number that surprised me most. Roughly 1 in every 25 council-maintained road bridges in Britain is classed as substandard. That's around 3,000 bridges, and substandard has a specific meaning. It doesn't mean a bridge is about to collapse. It means the bridge can't safely carry the heaviest vehicles now on our roads, like a fully loaded 44-ton lorry. So the bridge stays open, but with weight limits, or restrictions, or sometimes just a quiet note in a council file that says, in effect, keep an eye on this one. 3,000 bridges might not sound like a lot spread across an entire country, but these aren't remote structures in the middle of nowhere. They're the bridges on the roads you actually use, the one your bus crosses on the school run, the one the supermarket lorries take to restock the shelves near you, the one that, if it suddenly shut tomorrow, would add an hour to thousands of journeys overnight. The reason so many are in this state comes down to money, and there's a lot less of it than the job actually needs. Bringing just the substandard bridges back up to full strength would cost somewhere in the region of £1 billion. Clearing the entire maintenance backlog across every council-managed bridge runs to several billion more. A parliamentary committee recently described the wider state of local roads and infrastructure in Britain as a national embarrassment. And because the budgets simply aren't there, councils end up fixing things only once they've broken, rather than maintaining them properly before they do. It's a false economy, and the engineers know it. Patch a problem cheaply today, and you'll often pay far more to deal with it tomorrow. Councils say they'd ideally like to repair a couple of thousand of these weaker bridges. In reality, only a few hundred are expected to get the work they need within the next 5 years. The rest are monitored, restricted, or in some cases simply managed as they slowly decline. That's an actual term used in the industry, managed decline. Watching something get gradually worse because there isn't the money to stop it. But the state of Britain's bridges isn't only a story about decline. That would be far too simple, and frankly far too gloomy. It's also a story about engineering that is genuinely world-class. We built the longest single-span suspension bridge in the world when the Humber Bridge opened in 1981, a structure so long you can see the curve of it stretching away into the haze over the estuary. We threw a £1.35 billion cable-stayed crossing over the Firth of Forth that stays open in winds strong enough to flatten lesser structures, thanks to windshielding most people never even notice. And we still run trains every day across elegant stone viaducts that were built before the motorcar had even been invented. Some of these structures are well over 150 years old and still doing the exact job they were designed for. So the real picture is a kind of split screen. At one end, some of the most impressive bridges anywhere on the planet, admired and studied by engineers around the world. At the other end, the everyday end, thousands of aging local crossings that are slowly being outpaced by heavier traffic and harsher weather than anyone imagined when they were first built. And that gap between the spectacular and the struggling is exactly what this channel is going to explore. We'll cover the bridges that terrify drivers and the reasons why, the ones that close in high winds, and the dramatic moments when the wind won, the disasters that changed the way Britain builds forever, and the quiet, unremarkable ones, possibly near you right now, that are holding on by a thread. Some of it is jaw-dropping engineering that'll make you see these structures completely differently. Some of it is a slow-motion problem that nobody seems willing to fund. All of it is worth understanding. Because we cross these things every single day, we trust them with our lives without a second thought, and most of us have absolutely no idea what's really holding us up. So subscribe, stick around, and let's take a proper look at the bridges of Britain.